KVK, can you take your main city into the forest, get all your points easy and get out safe? Yes you can, but it's a very risky thing if you do it wrong. This video will take you through everything you need to know. Don't forget about the Amazon App Store. If you've not used it before, it's a great way to get up to a 20% discount on all your spending on King of Avalon. That could be massive. You've got to be in one of their selected regions, so check this video out here for more information on that great deal. Okay, so you don't have a farm account, or you do have a farm account, but you want to get your points more quickly and you don't want to have to keep jumping between accounts. It can be complicated. So you just want to take your city, chuck it in the forest, get all your points in KVK and come home again. Yeah, easier said than done, but it is doable. And it can be safe as well. Okay, so the first step you want to do is check out your hospitals. This is going to be the backbone of this strategy. Your hospitals are what's going to make this not be a painful permanent loss event for you. If you do this right, you can get 0 permanent losses, all your points, and just have to pay to heal up those troops. Much cheaper than having to buy and train up a whole new set of troops. Now, there's one key benefit. If you're jumping into your own forest rather than another kingdom's forest, you have access to your Alliance hospital, and you also have access to your standard hospital. So that is a massive increase in your total amount of hospital space. I've got 200,000 spaces in my main hospital as I currently stand, and I've got another 250,000 spaces in my Alliance hospital. This is my Solar account, by the way. My Lunar account, they're much larger capacities. So you've got 450,000 deaths you can have before you take even a single permanent loss. In your own city, any losses you take up to that number for me is 450,000. Check your own numbers. So what do you want to do first? Well, you can see I've actually got troops in my hospital already. That means if I jump into the forest now and take a hit, I've these spaces here, the 4,500 spaces, they're gone. So you need to make sure before you start this event, preferably the day or two before if you can, clear out your hospital. So if you've got healing coins, you can do that in your Alliance hospital free of charge, otherwise you can use normal resources. Now if you are healing up prior to the event, think about whether you're going to use your population surge. This one here, it will reduce your cost for healing troops by 25%, but it's got a 24-hour cooldown. My plan means that you have to go into the forest, take losses, and you may need to speed heal them for the next round and to get more points. So if you're going to pre-do this population surge, do it at least a day before you're going to be getting into your KVK battle. You don't have to do this, it's just going to save you a huge amount of resources if you can have your population surge ready for when you take part. I've got 450,000 free wounded troops I can take, no troubles. That is the maximum number of losses you can take before losses start to be permanent. Now they won't all go to death, so if you slightly exceed it, it's not 100% of your troops will just die. You'll have troops going to Sanctum as well. Sanctum is limited though. You will lose at least 10% of the troops that go to Sanctum, potentially 20%. Depends on your VIP level. You can see here I get an extra 10% on my soul conversion, and it's 100% more Sanctum capacity by activating VIP 10. I am not there yet though, so I don't have that extra benefit. Once you get to VIP 10, this is a good one to help if you do get your maths wrong or you get hit too soon, and then your troops you'll save more of them. So Sanctum, you don't want to rely on it. It's slower to get them out and you will lose a percentage of those troops. So if you can do this inside your normal hospital capacity, this is the cheap way to do it. So now if you go to your training grounds here and check March, you can see your total army size on the right hand side. So I've got just over 1 million troops. So if I were to just jump into the forest and let some massive player smash me, 450,000 of those would go to hospital, and then 580,000 troops would be split between Sanctum and permanent death. That would be a very painful KVK. That's not what I'm teaching you to do today. You can do it better. So what's the plan? Well, you need to get those troops out of your city before you get hit. A few different ways of doing that. Now you know your march capacity, so if you're setting up a march here, let's imagine I'm clicking 1. Key point, if you don't have a dragon idol, you can't send your dragon out. If you are sending your dragon out, unless you've got the dragon shadow, it can only be on one of your marches. So to prep for this event, take your dragon out, and then see how big your march capacity is. It's 195,000 for me, Now I have 5 march slots, so I could send out at least 5 times that number, assuming the quality of these heroes is high enough. If you want to be really cautious, get rid of your heroes, and that's it. I can send out 185,000 troops, no trouble, and if I do that with 5 different marches, I can get rid of 921,000 troops. I only need to get rid of 581,000 to be safe, to make sure that I'm not going to exceed my hospital capacity. Other thing, you can expand your hospital capacity. So if we go into your Hero Council, and then if you go to your Master of Strategy, then Nora can increase your hospital capacity by 13,000. So if we do that now if we check that out, I've increased by another 13,000 in my main hospital, and I've increased my Alliance hospital by 13,000 as well. So that's a 26,000 troop gain right there. So that's another little boost to get you up to those numbers. And of course you could upgrade your hospital. By upgrading your hospital you can increase your hospital capacity. So there is another way. And also there is research. So if you need to increase that hospital capacity further, you can go into the development branch, and there are some hospital capacity boosts in here as well. The alternative is, if you can't send out enough, there are ways of boosting your march capacity. So you might say, I can only send out 185, but you can increase that. So one of the easiest ways is if you go to your stronghold here, you go to city buffs, and in battle you've got your march capacity boost. Now you can get hold of these 2-hour 25% boosts, and they're very cheap. You can get them in the Alliance, you can get them in here in the exchange, Alchemist Corner, and Inspire Loot. You've got this 2-hour march capacity boost. So this, you'll be trading 102,000 crystals for the chance to get a load of points in KVK. That's a win in my opinion. So that's worth doing if you need to bump those extra numbers. If you still can't do it, even using that march capacity boost and putting your best heroes to go out, you do have an alternative idea. One is leave all your troops, or leave more of your troops in your castle and be willing that they might get lost and 10-20% of them die permanently. If you're medium power, you can take one hit and then teleport away, or then shield, and that way you're not risking your entire army. However, one power hitter might just be enough. So if you're not powerful enough, it's a risky strategy. I would say use the farm approach I tell you about in this video here. Okay, so you've made your decision. So I'm taking my main city into the forest. Awesome. So prep work. You've checked your Alliance hospital, you've checked all the other spaces, you know how many marches you need to send out. If you're trying to get a critical defense, if you're going to have just 6 types of troops in your city, make sure that you've got your marches set up in advance. If you're not going in shielded, you need to react quickly. You get to the forest, you immediately need to send out all the marches as quickly as you can. So it's worth having these troop formations set up with those troops you want to get rid of. Any troops that don't hit that critical march. So whatever troops you need to get rid of, look through it. If you're going to do a mixed march or a critical march, make the decision first. Make sure you've got these pre-set up slots for everyone you're leaving. Make sure you don't check the dragon box when you're sending up these trash marches that are going out. You don't want to send your dragon out by mistake unless you've got a dragon idol in your city anyway. Where are you going to send your troops to? Now, there's loads of different ways you can do this, and in the video I will show you. I just send them out to reinforce my alliance mates behind shields. They're marching a long time. To be honest, it's all over before they even get there, so that's absolutely fine. Alternative is you can camp them, assuming you're not at war in your own kingdom. No one can attack your camps. If they're outside the forest, then you can just click occupy, and then you can use whichever march it is you're sending out here, and send them out to a march. They'll just sit there until you get attacked, and once you're attacked and your city loses the battle, you will be instantly teleported away. When you're teleported away, all your troops will come back to your city. So you can also do long rallies against, so if we did a search for low-level barbarian camps, then you can find one of the lower levels. I think this is a little bit slower and it annoys your alliance mates, so I wouldn't say this is plan A. But you can do a rally here, set it to 1 hour, and any troops in a 1 hour in any rally will disappear from your city. They won't take part in any battles in your city. So that's another safe way to get rid of those troops. You could also do a rally on an enemy city. It's a little bit more aggressive, so you can go to another city, preferably a farm that's unimportant, and it might be worth messaging them just to say, by the way, it's not a real rally, just out in the forest. not my best plan. I don't think this is the way to go, but people people are going to put in the comments and say, oh, you can do that too. Yes, you can do that too. I don't recommend it, but it is a possible strategy. Okay, so now you're going into battle. You're fighting behind your own walls, so you've got the benefit, you do get the wall defense here, so that is a little extra boost to your fighting capabilities. You can also choose which wall heroes you want, so focus on those troops you're going to have left. If you're going to have a huge amount of infantry, it's probably worth having an infantry hero. Otherwise, if you're going to be focusing on trying to do more kills, try and get that attack up on bowmen, for example. Now, the other thing is you also benefit from your research, which is only in defense, so this defense research will apply, which it wouldn't do otherwise. So you're getting a few extra boosts fighting behind your wall, and the major benefit is your losses will go to hospital. If you're fighting in Avalon on the towers, you will have permanent serious losses. Pretty much anything you do will cost you a lot of troops. Okay, so let's say you've got 5-6 marches to send out in quick succession. You know the guy in the edge of the forest is ready to go. You might want to teleport right next to him, and then by the time that you send out your first, second, third marches, he might already be on you. So you don't want to teleport right next to people. I would say a couple of squares away, but if you're really worried you're going to lose massive amounts of troops, then you can drop a shield first. So go to your city buffs and put your peace shield on, just put the shortest ones you've got on, and jump into the forest, send out those 5 marches, 6 marches, and now you're ready. Send a scout, any city that's not in your friendly territory. Scout Avalon. Actually, in this, there'll probably be some enemies around at Avalon, so you can just send a scout there. The second you send that scout out, it will pop your shield. It will put a 30-minute cooldown on, so you can't keep using this approach. So you can't keep doing this until you've waited half an hour. So the first time that's fine, but if you want to jump straight back in again, you won't be able to use the shield the second time unless you wait that half an hour. And of course, if you do jump into the forest, you're sending out your marches, you're a reasonable distance away, and your screen starts flashing before you're ready, pop that peace shield as quickly as possible. You might just save yourself from being smashed by a massive player. If they're moving really fast, it'll be a tough challenge, but that is the fun of KVK. When you're taking your own city in, you need to work fast. Now you of course go way away, you could go right in the middle of the forest. It might be no one spots you there, that's the problem. You're not teleporting right next to one of the players. They might not realise you're there for quite some time, so it's a balance. Take your pick, whether you want to be visible or whether you want to be time enough to get your marches out. Safe, less visible. What you can do to make yourself more visible, send some scouts. Scout all of the towers at Avalon. Somebody's going to be watching that. Ooh, where those scouts coming from? Especially if you send 5 out, there's a load of lines across the map, and now you are telegraphing your location. So there's the way to get some interest. You're in the forest, nobody's even doing anything. Pretty disappointing. So yeah, send out a bunch of marches to scout, and say somebody will hopefully take notice of it. Okay, so you're sending out all your marches. Remember that you can also use that dragon idol, so if you need to use your dragon to send troops out in great enough numbers, then if you go to your lord, and then if you go to the temporary relics here, go to store, then the cheapest way of doing this is to use the dragon idol, 3,500 gold for 7 days. That will keep your benefit of a dragon in your city, whether or not your dragon goes out. Alternatively, you can use the dragon blade. It might be on deal, so that might work for you that day. It is a lot more expensive, and it would actually have more benefits. You get the battle stats, another 15% on all of your troop stats. Okay, so you're in the forest, you send out all your marches, the attack's coming, you're excited. How many points are you going to be able to get from this attack? One thing that can help, don't forget about your boosts here. Now, Breath of Fire, this is a big ticket one. If you've got level 6 and above tier troops, then this one can do a huge amount of damage. So make sure you click that talent just before before your attacks hit, and you'll get a bunch of extra kills. That's really helpful. So you might ask, how do you get your points in KVK? Using this approach, there are 2 different ways you get your points. One is by killing enemy troops, you get a lot of points. The other one is by your troops dying. So actually, even if a massive player hits you, you can still get points, just a lot fewer points. But if you get a few kills and a lot of deaths, you're still going to score a lot of points in the event. So there is a way to get points, and the more troops you have in your city, the more damage you can be doing. Okay, so you're getting ready to go into the forest. you can't forget about your allies. They need points too, and actually if you've got allies in your city, you're going to be a more powerful target if they hit your crit. So remember, if you have a critical march of 6 different types of troop, you really want anyone who joins you to have those 6 types of troops. So share your march. So if you've got a march that shows your 6 kinds of troops, it's probably easiest just to go to the go to that march and then click at the bottom top right here. You can share your march. You've now told your allies right in the chat that you're going to the forest. If anyone wants points, come and reinforce you. If they reinforce you and then you teleport, that's absolutely fine. They'll still be in there. Out of interest, if they teleport, so they send their troops to you and then they teleport off and do something else, their troops will disappear. So once you've filled up your city, I say key benefits of having people reinforce you is you get the battle power of those troops, and then they can also get points, and those points won't cost them permanent losses the same. They can still use the Alliance Hospital and their Standard Hospital when they reinforce you. You'll be popular if you offer, and you'll do better if they join you. Instead of having 1 million troops, 500,000 troops, you can have another 500,000, another 1,000,000 troops. Make yourself a more powerful target. There is one site loss there. If there's nobody powerful close by, if you've reinforced as well as having your own troops, it might be that the enemy just don't want to hit you. So if nobody's coming, it could be you've got too many troops in your city. So use an anti-scout and see if they take a punt, but more likely you probably need fewer troops. So if they're just not coming, they've scouted you, they've seen what you've got, it might be now's the time to unfortunately get rid of those reinforcements. Okay, so you've taken your first hit. Let's say you've survived it. You've not been teleported away. You're still in there. You may have taken massive losses. So there's the question. If you're close on your points, so if they kill half your troops and then you teleport away, they might not want to come back again because they know you're going back, reinforcing and rearming and coming back. It might be worth taking that second hit, giving them the extra points, and that way they'll do it again in future. However, if you haven't got enough troops, you've only got a tiny number and they're all going to die terribly, you're not going to get any kills, yeah, it might be time to go home, try again later. So you also can check with your allies. They might say, actually, I've taken enough losses for today, can we leave? You've got 2 choices there. You can go with them, or you could actually send those reinforcements home. So if you go to your embassy, go to reinforce, you can click this button here, that will send your reinforcement home, or you can do them piece by piece. Okay, so why are we using this approach? So I've told you about using farms, and that works really well, but what are the benefits of doing this instead of using the farms? Well, first up, the quality of your troops are going to be higher and you can use a lot more of them. You'll generally be able to keep more troops in your city than you can send in a march, so you're already going to be doing better in the event. And if you've got more troops, it means you're going to do more kills, and you can also, in addition to doing more kills, you can also get more losses more quickly, so you should just get more points in the event using your main account rather than using your farm account. Now your reinforcement cap should be higher as well. Assuming that you've upgraded your embassy, you should well be able to receive more troops. So again, you'll be more troops anyway, and then more reinforcements. You'll be a more powerful player. Just more troops is better when it comes to fighting, and therefore you're going to get more points using your main city than your farm account. You'll also have higher wall defense, better research for your defense, more likely, and you can also probably have better quality heroes on your wall. So we've got win-win-win here. You're going to just fight better in your own city. And don't forget, you're going to get Merlin's Concern. If you lose enough troops, that will make healing much cheaper. So just I'll tell you what the benefits are. What are the disadvantages of doing this? Main one is it's a higher risk strategy. If you've got more troops in your city than you've got hospital spaces, you have to get those troops out before you get attacked. If you're not using the shield approach, you could find somebody speed hits you and you take way more losses than you're planning. So it is a riskier strategy, and it's one of those ones where I've never been hit before I've got my marches out, but it could happen. So it's up to you if you want to take that chance, and if you don't want to take the chance, use the shield approach and just wait half an hour for the shield cooldown. You can do this perfectly safely, just a bit slower. Other thing is, you're going to have more troops in there, so if you do get absolutely smashed, then you've got more troops, you're going to lose more troops, it's going to cost you more resources. You get more points, but it's going to cost you more. So you might find that you lose more troops than you have to, and you've actually cleared the top level prize, and you've still lost a lot more troops. So there are more troops to be lost. You also need to use you're going to have to use 2 teleports, one to get into the forest and then one to get back to your hive, assuming you're going to go back to your hive. So it's perfectly fine, you can do it, but if you're using a farm account, you're using teleports from an account that's much less valuable, so you're now using teleports you'd otherwise want to be using from your main account. Thanks for watching today. I've got loads more advice on KVK, I've got other advice on battling, so do check out my channel. There's loads on there for both Lunar and Solar. See this video here for my KVK battle action, and there are some uber powerful players.